Welcome back to another edition of the Be Forever Cool podcast. My name is Rex 45, and this evening we got Mike in the building. How's it going today, Mike?
Not too bad. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Glad to get you on the show, and hopefully, you get to tell us all about how you got into riding and stuff like that. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and stuff like that. So, but let's jump into it and let us know how you got into riding. What was it like for you? Were you fortunate to be on a bike at a very young age, or you did something that you decided to get into later in life? Or, what made you decide to jump on a bike?
I always wanted one. I always wanted a bike, and my father always told me I would never be allowed to own a motorcycle in his house while I lived there. Never. And when I turned around the time I turned 21, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to get my motorcycle license. You want to go?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So I didn't start riding until I was 21.
Got you. Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So he said not in your house, and then did he ride before, or this at the time when you turned 21, he also decided he wanted to ride too.
Yep. He just kind of one day said, "I'm gonna go get my license, get a bike," and asked me and my brother if we wanted to go take the MSF course with him. So we did.
Okay, that's what's up. Wow. So what was that like? One that your dad, you said, okay, let's go do it, or were you a little bit shocked by that? And then what was the course like, and doing it with your dad and your brother?
Yeah, I was shocked, and beyond shocked, but I was more than happy to go do it. Course was great. I thought like I said, I hadn't spent a lot of time on it. Friends that have like small dirt bikes, whatever, ride those around a little bit, but never anything more than a few minutes here or there. So to take that and then from at the end of the weekend have a license and be not proficient, but I could go and ride around on the road and survive was good.
Right.
And that was actually that I remember the instructor for the course showing pictures. He was, I don't know what organization. He used to coach for some tractor organization, and he had a picture of himself giving a two-up ride of
Oh,
Bill
no
Loudon
kidding.
on his CBR. So, like my first weekend on a motorcycle, really, I learned about that.
Racing.
Yeah, yep.
That's pretty cool. And so taking the course, were you nervous? I assume you rode a bicycle, but nothing with an engine. Or was it did it just being with your brother and your dad just kind of made it more? It's like, I don't know if you're camping, but kind of like going camping. And just we figured out as we went along.
Yeah, no, it wasn't too nervous. It was pretty confident in my ability to do it, even though I never had. Like I said, from this small amount of time I'd actually spent on anything with a motor, wasn't like overly difficult. Brother and father picked it up real quick. It was we all took to it pretty quickly. My brother still rides. He's got a Ducati. He doesn't ride it very often. Every once in a while, he'll come to the track. My father sold his bike a few years ago. I'm the only one who took it to the degree that I did.
Got you. So okay, so you guys got the license and did the course. What did mom say?
Nothing. She loves it.
Okay.
She loves it. My first bike was a CBR 600 RR, 2006, and I took her for a ride on it a couple times, and she likes it. Even she's even been up to the track a few times. She's fucking watched and everything. It's cool.
Nice.
That's obviously nervous, scared. Any mother would be, but
yeah. So you got a CBR. What did your brother get? What did your dad get?
Brother also got a CBR 600, and my father got a Honda Shadow 750.
Okay. Nice. And did you guys like ride together to different places, or you kind of just started just doing your own thing?
Every once in a while we'd ride together, go do whatever. Me and my brother a couple of my friends, a few of my friends at that point had bikes, so I'd spend more time going out riding with them, and I would actually commute to work on it at that point, which I just don't want to do now. It just doesn't really make sense, but we would ride. And my father just kind of slowly, he would a little bit here or there on the weekends, and that was really it. He never really got too into it.
Gotcha. It's interesting because people can start things together and certain people it sticks with and other people kind of fade off. So you got a CBR. Your brother did. You got your dad got the shadow. How long before you started going to the track? And did you were already kind of researching that stuff since the instructor kind of said hey, here's this, you can also go to the track.
No, the instructor didn't really have anything to do with it. When I got a job with the previous company that I was at, and I started there in 2007, February
Mm-hmm.
of 07. Never really said anything about it. I showed up to work one day on my bike, and the guy I was working for, he was like, "You have to go to the Penguin Racing School and try this and do whatever." And come to find out, he used to race, maybe 10 years before I met him.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, fine. So I did my first track day in 07.
Okay.
So not
Wow.
long after I got the bike. Yeah. And then it was, once a year from there, 1 or 2 a year. And,
and then so like how green were you going to the track? I mean, did you already you had your race suit, you had boots, gloves, everything, trailer, because I wasn't living out of when I was at the track. I was living out of my Audi wagon and a U-Haul trailer.
I borrowed a trailer, and I was only going up doing Penguin one day, and then coming home, and I live an hour and 15 minutes from Loudoun, so that wasn't terrible.
Okay.
Rented suit, rented boots, did the whole thing, but was instantly very comfortable on track. Yeah, and I remember the instructor who I didn't realize when I bought the bike, but it was the same guy. The coach was the same guy who sold me my CBR. He recognized me. He's like, we talked a little bit, and during one of the follow leader sessions, he's like, just come with me, and we were just, he was like, just follow me. We're gonna go by a bunch of people, and we're just very comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of took to it.
Right. And did your brother, dad do track days, or that was just on you?
No, that's not there. My brother does now. He'll come up every once in a while, and maybe one a year he'll come up. But if I didn't have 2 bikes fully built, ready to go, and extra gear and access to all this stuff, I don't know if he would or not.
Right.
But he likes it when he comes up. So no pressure. He's never going to go racing, which is fine. It's cool.
Gotcha. And so you did the Penguin a couple of times a year. Did you do the classroom, or back then was it just you just signed up and you just did the track?
When I did it the first time, there was no track experience group like there is now with the C&D group. It was just license certificate. As far as I remember, it was just license certification, and then maybe the advanced class. Because I remember leaving with a certificate that I could get a race license if I wanted to within the year. I didn't. I let that. I didn't start racing until 2016. Okay. I went a while.
Right. So a couple of years going a few times a year. Did you bump up the track day to going more often, or you just kind of kept it a couple of times a year until you and I guess when did you decide to start racing?
No, I just kept it to 1 or 2 times a year, and when I bought my Panigale, I just said, "I'll keep the CBR and use that on the track and whatever," because I don't want to crash the Ducati. And then, from 2009, 2010 to probably 2018, 19, where I was playing football still.
Okay.
Organized competitive football, tackle football. But when that was starting to end, I got hurt a bunch of times. So when that was starting to end, I started going more towards track days and everything. And I was a little older, and I was more financially secure to be able to go do something like that. You know what I mean? Right. So yeah, it was September 2016 is my first race weekend.
Oh wow! And what was that like? And so when you were doing the track days and going up, were you weren't sticking around to watch the races or anything like that? So
nope. No, I was going up, coming home. The only other thing I remember from my first track day was some guy over by the center garages. I was talking to him, and he just looked at me. He's like, "You're gonna start racing," and I had no idea like anything. Like, and he was right. It was just gonna be way further down the road.
Yeah.
Because I really at that point didn't have too much interest in doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, eventually.
So
Yeah,
is there like any catalyst that said, okay, 2016, I'm going, or just really just, all right, I needed something else to do because football ended, and you just because were you watching like Motor America or Motor GP or anything like that at that time?
I started watching MotoGP around 2011, 2012. So I've been watching it for a few years, and football was ending, and I was like, again, like started to have some money saved where I could whatever. Like, yeah, so let's go do this. Let's see what happens.
Nice. What was your first race weekend like, or Saturday like?
So actually, so my first, I did my license for the I did my license class was the 2-day. 2-day school in June. I didn't end up racing until September, but crashed that weekend. That was my first track crash. Was just before I started. I showed up with my CBR. And again, I don't know anybody who's really doing this, right? Like it's just I'm like I'm just gonna go race. I showed up with my CBR. Still had street plastics. No case covers, no nothing, like nothing. It was just I'm like, what? I'm just gonna go race.
Yeah.
And the guys in 11 and 12 North, the guys that were in that garage were like, come here. Like, we're going to help you. And they did. And they took me in and they helped me big time and got me through that weekend. And it was, that was kind of it from there.
Yeah. So you were hooked from there.
Yeah. It was, well, I do remember going in my first race after my rookie race, going into turn 3, and somebody in front of me basically went over the handlebars, got real banged, and I was only maybe 10 feet off his tire. I wasn't that far off, and I had to stop like at the wall or whatever. And I just kind of stopped. I was like, what am I doing here? like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. I had that moment in the probably like the first session of getting the license class when they take you out. I'm like, I have no idea what they were talking about, and it's the same thing. It's just like, you sure you want to do this? But by the end of the day, I was hooked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, right? Like I'm sure you now talk to people who doing their first track days, second track days, whatever, and you talk to them and you're like, yeah, you're not going anywhere. You can tell.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So I guess we could talk about this now. Like, how cool the race community is, that you show up as a stranger and people take time out of their day to help you get set up. And it's not a matter of just changing plastics. You probably had to drill safety wire holes and stuff like that for the bike and all this stuff. So they probably spending a few hours of their time. And did the community was that awesome back then, or was it like your first glimpse into it when that happened?
No, that was the first glimpse of it. That was because it wasn't even like it was just a real quick like, hey, you got to do this, and this. It was throughout the entire weekend, and then I came back for October, the October round, and it was the whole time. Every time I was there, it was little things. It was so from where we are in the North Garage, you can see turn 3 and 4, and they made second call, third call, whatever, and I'm ready to go. And the guy's like, stop, wait. You'll see people when they finally start to come around this corner, then you go, right? And it was just everything from start to finish. They helped me with every little bit along the way. And I'm still in there. I'm still with some of those guys in that garage. So yeah, it's a unbelievable group of people, and really in any any pit, any garage, whatever, anywhere you go, people are always willing to help. So
yeah,
awesome.
And I agree. And anywhere you go, there's people willing to help. So you're racing the CBR 600. You're in the middleweight class. Somebody goes out in front of you, and do you did you notice in that moment or maybe afterwards how you reacted versus like people who have been there for a while and seen these things? Because for me, I was looking around like shook, and there was like people are just calm. It's just part of it. They know medic is there and stuff like that. But I definitely was just like, oh my goodness, this is crazy.
I didn't notice anybody at the time. No, I think I had kind of that same reaction, just like this is wild. Why? What am I doing? I don't even really think I don't remember bringing it up to anybody, to be honest. We just got pulled back on, got back on the track, and kept going, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, you notice after a while, newer people get a little worried when there's a crash, and people that have been around a while are just like, yeah, no, they're up there fine. All right, we're good.
Yeah.
If you see somebody who's been around for a while start running, like then yeah, you know something's happened.
Yeah,
that's
true.
that's the sign, because
Yeah.
most of us just go, yeah, shit happens.
And keep it moving. So what was your riding like? I mean, you had a good amount of time, maybe not a lot of on time track, but you had 6 years of doing track days and stuff. So like when you first started racing in 2016, what was your body position like? What was your starting? I mean, at that point, I don't know if you had a race in mind yet, but starting to do, figure that out. So, how were you that first weekend of racing?
All right, I guess. I mean, I don't really have any way to compare it, judge it to. I mean, you can't even find the track times, the lap times, the results online anymore. That was all on Track Intel, and it's gone.
Right.
Won my rookie race, I know that.
Okay.
Other than that, like I don't really. I know my body position was terrible. I didn't understand, and I didn't really understand or learn how to go fast for a couple of years after that. You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of out there, just hoping my way through it.
Right.
No real plan of attack or no nothing. So it was just it
Gotcha.
was for fun at first, and then it kind of got serious at a certain point.
Right. So yeah, let's talk about the fun and when it got serious. And did you try to do every round in 2016, or did you decide to do that in 2017? What was? I mean, you're having fun, but for me, it was like I started in 2013, and in 2015, I was trying to go. I was going to every. 2015, I started going every round. So what was that like?
So I started in September, so I only did September, October of 2016. Came out and did was it April and May of 2017. So in April of 2017, or May, I'm sorry, May, got bumped up to amateur at that point. And then that was one of my last years playing football. So I was, games were on Saturdays, so I couldn't, go racing all whatever. I had conflicts. I one day did try and race and then drive home and play football, and that did not end well. I did a GT and then another race, and then just packed all my stuff, went home, and went and played a football game a couple hours later, and was
oh my goodness.
useless.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I didn't do every round in 2017, and then in 2018, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go do this year.
Okay, so let's talk about 2018. You're amateur, and at this point, you've only been to Loudon, or did you start to go to other tracks?
No, it was only Loudon for a long time. That's the only place I've ridden until 2019, I think. That was the only place I had gone.
Yeah, same here. So 2018 amateur. I think I remember that a little bit. There's a lot of people in the paddock around that time too, man. So what was it like? You said you won the rookie race. Now you got bumped up to an amateur. Were you in the middle of the back of the pack for a little bit? What was
I was in the back. I was in the back for a long time. I was in the back, and that was some of my favorite races. Like some of my most fun races that I've had were back of the pack racing Tom Hines to not be last amateur. Like that was it. And I actually had a ton of fun doing that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, get into the front's nice and all that, but just having a good like clean race and actually racing people was a lot of fun. And there was a lot of that going on in 2018, as far as I remember.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There definitely was a lot. I'm trying to think how many. I think I might have been doing well. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there as much in 2018 because I jacked myself up. In 2017, I wasn't really there towards the end. So it's kind of it was kind of rough for me in 2017 and 18. Now that I think back, yeah, because I mean, yeah. So August, I'd broke got into a car accident on the streets, and lacerated my spleen and fractured my hand and stuff like that. So I missed pretty much from August on and part of 2019. So a little ridiculous, but at what point did you start to like, okay, I'm starting to figure this out. My body position is starting to get better. I'm figuring out certain corners, or even just like starting to think about racing in a different way, right? Not just going out there and having fun, but looking at it in a way that you're trying to get better now.
that was summer, mid 2018, that all kind of started to come together. Um, I don't remember why or when exactly or what happened, but I just towards the end of that year, I was like, well, this now it's how do I get faster and what am I
Yeah.
doing? And then fast forward to the beginning of 2019, I crashed the CBR in turn 8, sent it flying through the gravel in 9 and 15 feet up in the air, and then destroyed it. So it was time for. At that point, I was like, well, gonna buy a new bike. It's all in. And that's what it was. From the time I bought the ZX6 in May or June,
Yeah.
I think I June, June or July, I picked it up. That was it. From then on, that's what I was doing. It was a total game.
Yeah, refresh my memory. Did you buy it already built, or did you buy it and build it?
Yeah, so over the off season from 18 to 19, I was going back and forth with Leroy all the time. That was a lot of fun. Something was said about me getting a new bike or doing whatever, and Scott Mullen had commented on the post that I have a ZX6 that's already built, that he had been it had been because that was the 2019 was the first year of the new body, new fairings, new body stuff. So they used all those fairings at Armor Bodies. The bike that Scott had, they sent those fairings to Armor Bodies, and Woodcraft was using it for R&D and whatever.
Yeah.
So he just happened to have this bike, and then after I crashed, I sent a message like, "Do you still have it?" He's like, "Yep, I do," and that was it. I bought it fully built, took it off the showroom floor, and 2 days later brought it to Palmer to test it out.
Yeah.
That was it. But it was like fully built, ready to go bike. So that was not really the cheapest way to do it, but that was all in at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the hopefully in the long run it's cheaper, but you got to put all that cash up front. Where if you have to build it yourself, you can kind of piece it together as based on how you feel like and stuff like that.
It's Scott knew what he was doing too. You know what I mean? Like I got a bike from somebody who knew what they were doing. You know what I mean? Like it was all set. I didn't have to worry about anything.
I mean, was it pretty immediate, the difference? I mean, obviously one's a Honda, one's a Kawi, but as far as like suspension and just power and stuff we don't have to talk about power because again, they're a little different. Did you notice the difference right away?
Immediately. I got on that thing at Palmer, and I one of the guys that I was in the garage with at Loudon happened to be at Palmer, and I was like, I could do, and at that time my best was like high 19s, and I was like, I could do 18s on this bike, and then the following weekend I did. You know what I mean? Like I knew instantly it just was way better, and that's I still love the CBRs. I thought it was great. I just didn't fit on it very well. It was really cramped.
Yeah, it's interesting how we got all these different manufacturers and certain bikes fit certain people. It's such a weird thing. So you got a built bike. How much of that the bike or your confidence? I mean, I assume you went into 2019 ready to fight in the middle to up front.
Yeah, it was starting to get to that point where that's kind of where I was at was um, up there, top tens in the dash. I think I got at one point I did on the ZX6. At one point, I think I got third in the dash as in 2019. So yeah, that was all. Like I said, as soon as I got that ZX6, it all just kind of changed. Like it just suited me better, and everything just kind of came together. Um, which once that happens, now you're going back. You're in. Once you start having a little bit of success, like you're
Yeah.
not gonna walk away from that.
Not at all. I mean, that's the crazy part about it. You're trying to you start thinking about, because I think for 2019 was the first time I went to Homestead. So that was the first time another track for me, and just seeing that. So you mentioned going to Palmer and stuff like that after going to Loudon. Did that change anything for you, going to a different track, just seeing a different layout?
I remember thinking it was pretty easy. Yeah, like just something about it, just because it just didn't have, the
Turn three.
I haven't been there. I haven't been there since. So I mean, I've only been there one time. So I just don't remember it being a very difficult. Like, I mean, there are walls and stuff everywhere, right? Like you can never
Right.
race a Palmer.
Right.
But I don't remember it being as difficult as Loudon is. It was still fun though. Like I had a blast. It was totally and I think it's kind of like New York. You go to New York and you can do 85-90% and still have a really good time. You don't have to go 100% and risk anything out. You don't want to do that out there, in my opinion. But you can go and just ride there at 85-90% and have a blast. And I think that's kind of what Palmer was, from what I remember.
Yeah, I've only been there once myself. It might have been around the same time, if memory serve. It might have been a one and done. So you got the new built bike. You're getting quicker and stuff like that. Are you doing any kind of training outside of track day and just going to the track, or did you do maybe like the advanced penguin school or anything like that?
I did the advanced school a couple times, and each time I did it, I got faster. Have you done it? Have you've taken
Yeah,
that
I've done it
class
a
a couple
couple of
times? Yeah,
times.
it's like there's more information than anybody can process in a day in that class. Like Eric will spend an hour. If you give him 3 hours, he'll spend 3 hours talking about turn one. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It pays off. It's 100% worth it. But it's so much information that you have to take it multiple times in order to get everything out of it. So I did that a little bit. Did that a couple times. Dropped a little bit of time each time. And I think at the end of 2019, maybe in the dash or something, I did a 17.9. So that's kind of how I finished off that year. It was a pretty good. It was a huge jump for me anyway, for 1 year to go from this is fun. This is what I'm doing. I like doing it. To now it's here we go.
Here we go. Yeah. So 2020 come around. I assume you had big plans, and the world
Yeah.
had a little different plan for us because we had the pandemic and stuff like that. What was that like? And then I assume you must have done the first round at Loudon like the rest of us when we could, and we had to keep our distances and stuff like that.
Nope. I couldn't do any of that. November of 2019,
Mm-hmm.
I got home. My brother got married in Aruba. I got home from the wedding. 3 days later, I was out playing flag football and ruptured my patella tendon in my right
Oh.
knee.
Oh wow.
Which, after you have that surgery, your leg is locked straight in a brace for 6 weeks. I went back to work after a couple of weeks just because I was foreman on that job. I could do it, whatever. And so maybe 2 or 3 weeks after I got to unlock the brace, I tore the ACL in my left knee walking into work.
Oh my.
Yeah. So 2020, because of COVID and everything, I couldn't get my surgery.
Gotcha.
Doctors weren't doing ACLs. The only reason I got it done is because the way my meniscus tore. it made it an emergency necessary surgery. So I got that done in like April or May of 2020. Couldn't, it takes a, couple months to kind of get back, comfortable with, your full range of motion and you strengthen your quads or whatever. So probably maybe July or August. I went out, I was like, I'll go do a practice day, see how I feel. I went into turn 6 and I went to try and get my foot back from shifting back onto my toes back onto the pegs. And I couldn't do it. I lost all, they used my hamstring for a graft. So I didn't have any hamstring strength. I couldn't get my leg back. And I like parked it and one of the experts almost hit me and I felt horrible. I couldn't do it. So I didn't get to ride at all 2020. It was,
wow.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned earlier, with my injuries and stuff like that, you got racing on the brain. There's a pandemic happening, and you got to recover. So what was recovery like for you? And especially having a season like 2019, getting your fastest time, and now you're sitting out all of 2020. How motivated were you? And because for me, from being around racing and stuff like that, you get hurt, you go recover, you go do everything you need to do, and that's just kind of how I approached it. For me, like all of 20 when I came back in 2019, I probably shouldn't have been riding until my hand healed, because by the end of 2019, my body position was all jacked up because I was compensating for my wrist hurting and stuff like that, and I really had to you go in and deal with that in the sense that, like, okay, I got the RC 390 just to fix body position, go slow, because and I was still strengthening my hand. So, what was recovery like for you, and just the mental part of that, because it's a process.
The recovery wasn't terrible. As far as like actually being able to function and go do my day-to-day stuff. Not long after the ACL surgery, I was out riding my bicycle and doing stuff, and all that stuff was fine. Because of the hamstring part, riding was really difficult. Mentally was awful, to the point where, like, my mother and my girlfriend have both said to me that it's dangerous, and like, we don't love the fact that you do this, but we'll never ask you to stop because of how miserable I was to be around in 2020. Like, I watched, I was like, different weekends I'd be up at, because now I have weekends, more weekends to go do stuff. I'd be on the boat, my friends' boats and whatever, out on the lake, and I'm watching live timing, and I'm watching all the guys that I was, up at the front with get way faster, and I'll bump up the expert that year, and I can't race, and I was miserable. I was a horrible person to be around. So yeah, that was tough. That sucks. To have it taken from you is the worst. It's one thing if you decide to give it up.
Right.
If it's taken from you, that's terrible.
Got you. So and so okay, so you got through 2020. I assume you came back in 21.
Yep.
And what was that like coming back? And were you working out and stuff like that just to strengthen your body to prepare to go racing?
Yeah, I was doing everything I could to try and get back in whatever way I could. Whatever I could do to modify the bike, ergonomics and stuff like that. Like, at one point, if you went and looked at my bike, I had 3 pieces of seat foam stacked on there.
I remember that. Yeah.
To change the so I could actually have enough leg room to move my foot around and do all that stuff.
Right. And I guess for the viewers, how tall are you?
6'1".
Okay. So you're not a small guy.
No, it's a little cramped. But it was whatever I could do. I got things to lower my foot pegs and raise my seat and just do anything I could to make it fit, make it work. When you had your wrist thing, like you said, you do whatever you can to make it work and figure out how to get around it. Because if it doesn't get any better, you still got to figure out something, right? Like,
oh yeah. And for me, Like, I had to get help getting getting the glove off my hand, and sometimes getting it on because my wrist was on fire. Still got back out there though.
Yeah, we're not smart. Like we're still gonna go out. We're still gonna go race. We're not smart, but whatever. We're gonna go do it.
Yeah. That's the craziest part about that. So in 2021, by the end of 21, did you feel you were as fast as you were at the end of 2019, or did you like, okay, 22, I'll get there?
It was I was starting to get there again. I was starting to get there. I had this thing where I'd been an amateur for so long at that point that, like, in the Facebook group and stuff, like, there were people going back and forth about who's gonna win what or whatever, and I'd been there for so long that people were like, "Oh yeah, people would say I was gonna be up at the front for middleweight Grand Prix," and then people like Mike Lee came around, and I think it was 21, 22, and going fast, and there's always somebody coming up, so it's like I was still up towards the front, but I was never like winning all the races like that or anything. But still racing against up there with a bunch of guys that were going pretty good. So
it's like somebody coming along to make you go faster.
Yeah.
That's why I got that 206 at Daytona. So it was just like, I got to get this guy.
Well, that somebody passing you or doing whatever will make you do things that you never thought you'd be able to do, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Get the red mist, you're like, I'm doing it, gonna win or crash, but here we go.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's such a for me in 21, I started going to other tracks. Outside of Loudon. I was racing at other tracks outside of Loudon. Because I guess in 2019, I did Homestead, but I didn't do anything really towards the end of 2020, I did Homestead again. And 2021 is when I started going up and down the East Coast, doing ASRA and CCS. And, being around Jim and Sergio, those guys, really got me to perform at a different level. Because when you first get out there, if it might rain, I'm not racing. If I didn't plug my tire warmer with enough time on for the tire to get warm up, I wasn't racing. There were all these things that if it wasn't right, I wasn't racing. And then just seeing them getting over adversity of things breaking, and they still got the race suit on, and they're still trying to get back out there and race, and they'll get out there and race and get on the podium. So did racing do anything like that for you? Like, have your view of like overcoming adversity? I mean, you played football, so I assume in football you probably already saw that anyway, playing on teams and stuff like that. But what is it like, dealing, I think one time we had talked about like, rain tires, racing in the rain and stuff like that. And, I finally started doing it in 21, and I'd been racing for like 7 years and didn't race in the rain at all.
Yeah, well, that was, down at Pitt, right? You're like, I don't know. It's going to rain. I don't know if I'm going to do it. And,
yeah.
You gotta, it's a different, it's a different thing than I played team sports my whole life. There's still always team sports. There's still always, you can lose and you could have done everything, and still another guy that maybe didn't do their job or do well, whatever. Racing is up to you, man. Like it's you're having a bad weekend. You got to find a way to turn it around. You have a bad year, you got to find a way to turn around, and it's up to you completely. You have to have the mental strength and ability to be able to do that, and not just, and confidence, really. Like, the whole thing's just being confident. And if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to do it. Not well, anyway. You'll be able to go out there and turn laps, but you're not going to be at your best.
Right. Yeah, and it's such a confidence is such a tricky thing, because it's sometimes it's as simple as a mechanic saying they changed something on your bike that was wrong, and regardless if that was true or not, that's a whole different story. But just somebody saying something, it gives you more confidence to just take a little bit more risk that's out of your comfort zone, and that makes the difference, and it changes your world.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't even have to be anything major. It's all little things that you have to put together. So now that I'm coaching for Penguin, that's one of the things you're trying to, it's not huge leaps and bounds that you're trying to get people to do, every session. Hey, it's work on this little thing in this corner this time, try it for a couple laps, and then from there build on that. It's never just a huge thing. And still, coaching, I still got to tell myself that all the time.
Right. Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. You had gotten bumped up to expert and stuff, and so like, what made you decide to get into coaching, and how's it been, to help people out and get them a little faster? And is that also making you look at yourself a little differently when you race?
Yeah. So we got the getting bumped up to expert thing. I that year 2022, there was 6 of us in middleweight that got bumped up that year or something like that. Like that whole group was really good, and that pushed all of us to just go faster. Right? It was a pretty good group. And we're all still racing right now, which doesn't really happen very often. People come and go and whatever, but that whole group is still going, which is pretty cool. The coaching thing. So I coached Pop Warner. I coached high school football and stuff, and really at work, I'm really big on teaching apprentices. Like I like doing that for whatever I can do to help them or whatever. Mm-hmm. So when it kind of came to that point, Tom Hines for a long time was trying to get me in coach with Penguin. So when the opportunity came along, I was like, yeah, absolutely, love to. It's been really good, and it's cool. Not to talk bad about anybody. There's some people you talk to, like, they don't get it. They're not gonna get it, and that's fine. You want to go out there and spin laps and have fun. That's cool. But when you're dealing with somebody and you're coaching them and like they get it, and you go out and you follow them for a couple laps and they're doing everything right, and like you come back and talk to them and they're super excited and like they know they get it. That's awesome. That's fun.
Yeah. I can tell from a spectator standpoint, and just even or having just people racers come up and talk to me, it's like it changes your day, it changes your ride home. It's like another tool in the toolbox that you have of information that helps you in the future. So helping people out is really good, and you guys don't have to do it, right? It's not. I mean, I know you enjoy coaching and stuff like that, but you don't have to give back your time. You could just want to be at the racetrack and just focus on yourself. So taking that time out to give other people and to help them, and the ones that are open is easy, but you still have to try to talk to the ones that don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear their truth.
Yeah, that's a totally different thing. Yeah, that's there are some of those. there are definitely some of those out there.
So that's a huge deal. And so what is it like working with Penguin School, being part of that, being around all these guys? I mean, I don't know how long Eric's been racing, but he's probably been racing well over 30 plus years.
Yeah, like 30 years, and he really just genuinely wants nothing more than to keep the sport going and to help it grow and all that, and that's really what the coaches are out there doing too, right? Like if we're telling people we're coaching them, they're improving, and say, hey, like I noticed you did this and this right, like awesome. That's going to keep people coming back too. You know what I mean? And not even from like a business standpoint of we want to the school. It's just it keeps the sport going. Right. And that's kind of a huge thing. There's a lot of good guys that coach and girls that coach for Penguin. There's a lot of talented people, just a lot of good people. People that you like working with and being on track with, and get in the classroom, every now and again with Jeff, and then go out there and race against him Saturday, Sunday, and it's awesome. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
try and do whatever we can to help all the students and try and get them to come racing. Ultimately is kind of the goal.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, and I remember Eric talking about this years ago, and before some of the young folks we see that's come out of the Penguin School or in Motor America, and to see that now years later, it's pretty incredible. It's easy to sit here and say, hey, this is what we want to do, but then years later, you can actually see that the sport is actually coming back. We see the attendance in what's going on in Motor America now and stuff like that. We're seeing what MotoGP wants to do with giving the U.S. 24-hour access to MotoGP and stuff like that. So it is really getting better. Do you see that as well?
Oh yeah. But the Super Street class up at NEMA, right?
Yeah.
The past 2 rounds, there's been like 20 something entrants.
Wow.
For the Super Street class, which is great. You know what I mean? It's like that perfect stepping stone to get people on the racetrack on a Saturday and in that environment.
Yeah, can you just talk a little bit more about the Super Street class? Because unless you're at Loudon, I don't know if you know what that is.
So it's just kind of an in between. It's a stepping stone from track days to racing. For at Loudon, what they do is on Saturday they'll do a heat race to kind of set grids for the next. I think don't know if they do 2 or 3 more races throughout Saturday, Sunday. I think it's 3. So they'll do the heat race to set their grids, and then they get to go out and race with basically a track day prep bike. They don't have to do the full race bike like we all have, and it's good. Like they get to go out there, they do lights, full start, and it's a perfect transition that gets people to go from that to racing without all the commitment up front. You don't have to go buy a $10,000, $12,000 race bike, fully built, ready to go. You don't have to go do all that work yourself if you're not comfortable doing that. It's a good intermediate step there. So I'm going down to Jersey this weekend, and Azra has a time trials thing they're doing this weekend, which I haven't seen before. I don't know if that's a new thing, but I believe, if I remember correctly, that I read that track day guys can do it too. So racers and I think advanced or expert track day riders go out and do this time trial thing, and win, whatever you win for fastest lap times or top 3 or however they do it.
Okay.
So it seems to be a thing where they're trending towards having more of this stepping stone into racing,
right?
Which is good.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because that the commitment is real up front. One, you don't know what you need, so and then you kind of you've already signed up for the class. You probably already have a suit or you have a bike, and then when you get there, there's a whole list of things that you still need. So and that's not even signing up for races. So for them to do that, and then for the public to react the way they're reacting in the sense of more people are coming out and trying. So it is definitely working. Let's talk a little bit about going to different tracks. You mentioned going to Jersey after being at Loudon for so long. I knew it was like for me when I first got to Homestead and went to a different track. One of the things I learned is that I suck at going right. So I had to work on that. But I know you've gone through a few tracks now. What was your first impression going to a new track other than Loudon and then just going to different tracks over the years?
The first time I went to a different track, I don't remember if it was the Homestead or it might have been Pitt when I went down to Pitt Race to the Penguin Day down there after Moto America. It's a lot to try and learn a new track and kind of you have to start from zero with everything and gearing, what you're going to be in each corner, where all your reference points are, and everything. And it's a skill to be able to learn a track and race it in a weekend like that and be competitive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a skill that some of you have to practice doing. You can't not do it for a while until you can turn up to a track and just go fast. Being able to go on a track walk and understand what you're looking at, right? Like Pitt, me and you took the scooters around for a lap or two, right? And just like
Yeah.
you have to be able to do that and see what you and know what you're looking at, because otherwise you're blind. You're trying to learn
Right.
to track it, you know, whatever speed you're going at each corner, and it doesn't work that well. You got to have a plan of attack.
Yeah, I found that in the beginning it was really hard because, like I said, in 21 I think I did in 21 I did 21 rounds, I believe, and I
That's a
think
lot of riding.
yeah, and I think 6 of them were at Loudon, so at least I knew that track. But Roblin was new for the first time. NC Bike, CMP, Jersey. These were Daytona. These tracks were all new, and what I found, I mean, it's like it's once you start learning new tracks, it becomes a little easier because now you're using your brain in a different way. But like the first few tracks was really hard to get a grasp on. But then like after a while, I was just like, oh, I'm picking this up. You kind of just get used to it. I don't know if it was the same for you as you're starting to go to new tracks. It's just just learning the tracks is just the process. It's not taking as long as it used to. Granted, I'm not breaking lap records or getting close to the lap record of a middleweight bike or anything like that. But I found that as the more I was getting to new tracks, it just became a little bit easier for me to learn them.
Yeah, you learn how to learn, basically. You know what I mean? To kind of simplify it, is you learned how to pick all these things. How to learn a track, how to pick up what different corners are, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a valuable skill, and I know like that's one of the things when you do the advanced class with Eric. He tells you, he's like, what I'm telling you is not how to go fast at Loudon. I'm telling you how to go fast everywhere. You can take this information and apply it to every track, and break every one of them down, and every kind of corner, and what's important, what isn't. That's an important thing to know if you're going to go actually try and race at another track. You're going to try and do track days. You still want to know that stuff. It's not nearly as important though. It's just to go race somewhere else. There's a lot of work involved in doing that part of it.
Yeah. It is, and before we get out of here, let's talk a little bit about your race prep. Well, I guess we heard of your race prep. Then, what is your race prep look now for the weekend? When do you start to prepare? Whether to go to the track, but also mentally to go to the track. Like, do you have a process for yourself that you kind of lean on more these days?
No, at this point, I just kind of it's race week. And it's kind of in that mode at work. Like, it's race week. I'm not going to be here Friday, so whatever.
So you already start prepping from like Monday, because it's kind of. I say this race week, you're already kind of triggering I got to remember these things. I got to make sure I have this.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, it's now after the first, but it's like down to backing my trailer into its spot, right? Once you get a couple rounds into the season, it's easy. You've done it a couple times, like you're back in that groove.
Yeah.
So it's like race prep, getting all the stuff. Basically, once my garage is empty, I know I have everything. Like that's that's how I know I'm good to go. But yeah, it's do laundry a couple days before, make sure I have all my stuff ready to go, and truck is trailer is hooked up to the truck on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So I have a separate work truck, company truck. So when I get home Thursday, I just park the company truck, get in my truck, and I go to the track. And,
nice. Do you have any superstitions or any rituals? I tend to drink a Red Bull in the morning on Saturday and Sunday, and I'll have a Foster's beer at the end of the day.
Superstitions, no. Rituals, there's a couple different things. A couple things we do in the garage. Things like try lots of different bourbon.
Okay,
So somebody always brings something, and we always try, bring something new, and that's kind of just one of the things. Other than that, no real superstitions or anything. Just it's all kind of the same after a while. Like you do what you do. I'm the same. Like, I always have Red Bull in my cooler, but not necessarily like have to have one before a certain race or anything. It's all kind of the same. Just get there. As long as I get there Thursday night, like I like to, it's all kind of, all just kind of flows and happens. I don't even really think about it, so I couldn't tell you what any of those superstitions or any of that really is.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear that. I don't have any of the superstition. Just a couple of rituals, and that's about it. But the biggest thing is getting to the track early. Like I've tried getting in the morning of the race weekend or late night before. None of that works. You really have to get there to where you can set up, do everything you need to do, have a good night's rest.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is you can't wake up in a panic Friday morning. Like rush to get everything done. It's not going to work, especially now because coaching spends so much time on track. Like we don't have a bunch of time to spend throughout the day working on our own stuff. I mean, we can if we have to, like something breaks, whatever. But you're there to coach and help, so you want to be on track as much as we can. So the key is get there early, get set up, and just be able to relax.
Nice. Yeah, that's some good advice. And Mike, I want to thank you for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate and sharing your story with us. It's pretty cool, and I'm sure I'll see you on a racetrack soon. My name is Rex 45. We have Mike in the building. Peace.
See ya.